Welcome to True Health Tuesday, and the truth will set you free. Today is going to be a little different. Normally we talk about solutions and crazy stuff going on in the medical world. Now we're going to talk about crazy stuff that we go through on holidays. Happy holidays. Okay, what does that mean? Oh my God, relatives are coming in, holy moly, we're going to have toxic food. Everyone's going to get sick. We got to deal with Uncle Harold. And who likes Uncle Harold? Nobody. Okay, so we're going to cover a couple of ways to effectively handle it. But when we look at this, holidays is a sense of joy when you go around. But we have these delusional aspects, particularly if you're going to deal with a relative that you find challenging. Does anyone here have a relative that they might have a difference of opinion? Okay, good. Most of my wife's relatives are medical doctors. We go to holidays. Okay, can you imagine the challenges there? Okay, I mean, I love them, they're beautiful. But the challenge is when you're going to meet somebody that you've had a challenge with in the past, what do you do on the road? You start like going through these scenarios, like, well, I'm going to say this, and then they're going to say this, because they always say this, and then they're going to say this, and then they're going to, and it's like you work up into this frenzy, when they say, hello, how are you doing? I'm fine! Jesus! It's like mellow out. So what we got this delusional aspect that we build up this crap in our mind, and it totally negatively affects you. So mastery of life is looking at both aspects of whatever circumstance it could be, because there's never one side to anything. I mean, if you break a leg, great, you get some time off. I know it sounds weird, but when I had my legs broken, that was the first time I had this chance to see my house in the daytime, because I'm gone in the dark and I come home in the dark. It was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. So when you look at it, the mastery of life is like you remember that absolute most amazing person you met in high school, just perfect, amazing, wonderful. It never worked out because you were blind of the other aspect. So this is what life, if you have the wisdom, and this is the key to getting wisdom, is to see both aspects of every situation at the same time. So then you see the gray, you see the affirming and the challenging, affirming and challenging, all at the same time, and then you can get a good perspective. Because no matter what happens, if you have a challenge with people, they'll probably have a challenge with you. And this is kind of a cool thing if you're talking to other human beings, or if you're relating to them. If you're feeling unheard, disrespected, not appreciated, the person you're talking to is feeling the exact same way. No, say it with me. Whoa. Okay, that's called insight. Now the challenge, when you're looking at emotional states, so if you're always going to meet these people and you're always going to have this frustration, or like some people, we went over to a friend's house about 8-9 years ago, because normally I like cooking and because I like doing stuff. And this is going to sound sick, but I actually love washing dishes. Not just on the boat because it's efficient. You do too? I think honest to God, isn't it weird? But it's like fun. I like the efficiency of it. And so we went over to this gal's house, and she was a nervous wreck. I mean, the water's boiling. No shit, the heat's underneath it. Mellow out, I mean, it was just so frustrating and anxiety. But consistent emotions give consistent chemicals. So whatever your thoughts are, if you're thinking anxiety, stress, your body's going to have a physiologic reaction to that. Where if you're thinking joy and love, so taking charge of your emotions makes a radical difference. Now, I've used this gal's face before because when I see her, my soul smiles. I mean, I want to spend time with her. She's amazing. But if you have consistent joy and love in your life, your brain is going to be secreting consistent chemicals, and you're going to actually have a totally different physiologic response. Okay, and I'm going to teach you an exercise that it's in your power to change your perception. So when you go to these holiday events, you're going to be hunky-dory, okay? Oh, God. I see this girl and I get scared to death. Who would like to go out with her? What? Nobody? Okay, who would like to spend an afternoon with this girl? Everybody? Yeah, because I mean, look, if you're putting these energies out there, if you're putting these emotions out there, emotions are energy in motion. I mean, this is literally chemicals your brain secretes. So based on what you're presenting to this, you're going to radically alter your physiology. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Now we've got this automatic nervous system. And this is essential with you understand all of the challenges that we have to go through with personal interactions, foods, everything else. We're all going to have an autonomic response, and this is automatic response. One part keeps you alive under stress. That's blood pressure elevating, blood supply to the gut shuts down, immune system gets weak, and pupils dilate, so you get stressed. The other part, the rest, digest, and repair, is how your body regenerates tissue. So we always have this balance, but taking charge of your emotions is the key. Now, here's, some people are going to take time off. So what do you actually do for fun? I mean, what do you do for fun? And I'll ask kids this, I'll ask patients this, because you get somebody in there that, I've got fibromyalgia, I've got chronic regional pain syndrome, and I've got this, and I'm taking 9 medications. Okay, great. And then they tell me all the stuff that they're supposed to tell doctors, okay, which is most of it, is it bullshit or is it bullshit? Okay, good, just checking, doc. Okay, so when you look at this, would every doctor in here agree? Most of what we're supposed to ask has no pertaining to our information that we're going to treat them. Okay, so I'll ask them, and you ought to try this. What do you do for fun? And it's like they were hit. What do you mean? I have Crohn's, fibromyalgia, chronic regional pain, depression, anxiety, bipolar. I don't do anything for fun. And it's, okay, well, you're not going to get better. Okay, and I've told people that. Because unless you have a goal, unless you have something other, this is your entire world. So look at what you do. It's like we had one patient coming in and 3 packs of cigarettes a day. Okay, and we're talking marble. But no, his job was he painted cars. Okay, and he was doing this for 30 years. So highly toxic, everything else, 3 packs a day. He sits down, and he's, big burly guy. And he says, before we get started, I'm not going to stop smoking cigarettes. And I said, cool, I don't want you to stop smoking. That's one of the joys you have in your life. Jesus, you get out there, you get a break, you're doing something for yourself. Okay, you're doing something for yourself. So why would I ask him to give it up? He's got enough toxic environment, but this is absolute joy. Okay, so I told him, I said, look, do me a favor. How about you try something for a week? How about you go over, get some organic tobacco, some rolling papers, and make your cigarettes there. So there's no chemicals, so that makes sense. He's going to be rolling them instead of smoking them, okay, for a while. So that's going to take up some time. So he gets that little bit of time for himself so he can have that joy. He went from 3 packs a day to 1 pack a day in, I think it was 3 days. Okay? And it's easier to deal with 1 pack a day because then I told him, look, every time you smoke a cigarette, get a piece of fresh fruit. So then he went down to like 5, but his fruit level intake went through the roof. So what do you do for fun? Okay, think of this, because this is something that you got to schedule, just like you would schedule your work or phone calls or family. So take care of yourself. I mean, this is a gal. This is looking at the pelvis and lumbar area, and you could tell muscle relaxants, antidepressants, sleep medications, and these are just some of them. She had 9 different prescriptions. Now, is she in a stress state or is she in a stress state? Yeah, absolutely. When you're taking muscle relaxants, are you relaxed or tense? Okay, good. That's clue 1. Okay, also blood pressure, which is sympathetic dominant. But what you're looking at here is a completely abnormal bowel gas. So this could be from medications, vaccines, toxic food, or compromised nerve supply. So I'm describing a holiday event here, okay, where it can actually destroy the gut flora. This is her 90 days later, okay, with a normal gut flora, okay, or a normal gut bowel gas pattern. And what do? We just looked at the physical, chemical, and emotional stress. It really seems too simple. But the chemical stresses that you're associated with are like this. Concentrated animal feeding operations are bad for the planet. They're toxic. And have you ever heard of poop getting on lettuce? You've heard of poop getting on lettuce. Okay, do you think there's that many birds on the planet? Or do you think maybe the reason we had E. coli on lettuce is that they're spraying raw sewage onto the plants because they have no other place to put the stuff? Okay? Yeah, welcome to this. It's not infected because some guy washing the plant didn't wash his hands. Okay? This is the reality of our world. This is toxifying our world. It's sick and bad for the animals. It's sick and bad for us, and it's sick and bad for the planet. Okay? You're going to eat less meat. Okay? You really will. So in order to, and they have to be ethically raised, in order to survive on this planet, there's certain things that you have to do. Processed food, they take away either the digestive enzymes or they add preservatives to it so bacteria don't find this food delicious. If bacteria won't eat it, you can't eat it. So that means no processed foods. Genetically modified organisms, when you look at the comparison between that and normal food, there's no comparison in anything. Nutrient value, better for the planet, better for anything. But when you're looking at genetically modified organisms, this is causing glyphosates to be sprayed in our water system. It's bad for the planet, bad for the food, bad for the animals, everything. Grains, those got to be held to a minimum, particularly around the holidays, because it does increase your glycemic index and weakens your immune system. Processed sugars, any kind of sugar is going to negatively affect you, but when you process that sugar down to a white powder, it's poisonous. Homogenized dairy, unhealthy meats, unhealthy fats. So this, I gave you some ideas. Okay, now, in this, okay, you're going to see some food ideas here. Because traditionally, you want the mashed potatoes, turkey, gravy, dips, sauces, fats, everything else. I'm just giving some really simple stuff, okay? The organic potatoes. How about you switch to organic potatoes and get the small colors, the small red ones, the small black ones, the purple ones, leave the skin on. That's going to be a healthier option. Use coconut oil. So this is going to be a vegan option. Use a little garlic so it's antimicrobial. Now, there's a couple of things that I'm not going to mention, but this is delicious. Okay? We actually made a thing called spaghettos where it's this, sauteed spinach, and raw cheese mixed all together. I know, it's pretty good. Yeah, that was my youngest son's invention, spaghettos. Organic free-range turkey. I told you how to brine it here, which I totally recommend. The turkey stuffing, if you stuff it with aromatics, it's better. Okay, than stuffing it with like the old type of bread stuffing. Sauteed green dipping sauces. Look at other things you can get creative. Avocado, salsa. Mix the avocado or guacamole and onions and tomatoes. It's so simple to make. You can even get frozen. Okay, if you're living in an area that is wintertime, get frozen guacamole. Hummus, salsa. Now for the chips, because you want to reduce grains, you want to have healthy stuff. Look at endive lettuce. Look at cutting up veggies. The greatest chip in the world, you can even form it into something cool for the holiday, is cabbage. And you get purple cabbage, green cabbage, red cabbage. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do. And the keto chocolates are ridiculous. How'd you like to have, well, actually, we make it without the maple syrup. Okay, but you're talking coconut oil, cacao, and nuts. You heat it all up. When it melts, you put it on like a cookie tray or parchment paper and freeze it. You break off these big hunks of virtually just the most delicious chocolates you're ever going to get. Okay, so now that's the solution of toxic food. Let's go on the other aspects that we got to hit. First, sleep disturbances. If you're traveling, okay, start living at the time zone in your area. Do sleep restrictive therapy immediately. If you're sleeping or if you're staying up late, try and get a minimum of 6.5 to 7.5 hours would be ideal. But live at the new time zone. So if you're traveling 5-6 hours, don't say, well, it's 9 o'clock in my time and it's 3 o'clock here. And no, forget that. Just live like you're living in the time zone. Within a day, you'll adapt generally. When we look at why sleep is important, this weakens the immune system and I mean, literally can affect you the same as alcohol. So if you have lack of sleep and alcohol, that glass of wine is going to negatively affect you a hell of a lot more than it would without it. The circadian rhythms may be interrupted because we're in the wintertime and we may be exposed to indoor light. We may be exposed to blue light, which actually interrupts melatonin production. So what do? We've got sources of melatonin. No, I know the person in the back is looking at the bottom of the list. Yes, beer and wine are sources of melatonin. However, if you drink a little, you sleep better. You drink a lot, you see little and lot, there's not a big difference there, okay? You have trouble sleeping. So this is not a recommended sleep aid. But cherries, bananas, pineapples, oranges, I mean, these are all have melatonin and they're good for the immune system. So prepare your environment, even if you're sleeping on the floor, okay, with friends. Do rituals, okay? Start going through your mind, okay? Bring your nightshades. Get yourself set. No matter what environment you're at, you'll be able to sleep better. But sleep is super important. Now, Vystalgia, hangovers. Okay, now I know the solution for hangovers is not to drink alcohol. I understand that. Okay, and I also know that in order to decrease the hangover, you drink less and drink more water in between. But why don't people do that? Why don't people do that? Oh, come on. Not one person in here is going to say kill the buzz. Not one person in here lived through the 60s or 70s. Okay, I'll be the one. Okay, when you do it, you kill the buzz, okay, but it's going to decrease the toxic effect. However, it's poisoning. The worst thing that you can take after you've been drinking or before you've been drinking or during you've been drinking, or if you've ever had a vaccination or have anything, is acetaminophen. This is I think it is the deadliest drug in America. The level of toxicity and therapeutic dose is so minimal, it's mind-blowing that this stuff was ever approved. I'm actually going to do a talk on this because this was metabolized from a drug that was taken off of the market back in the early 1900s. And this was like snake oil stuff. It was literally back in the 1800s where it was utilized, and this is the metabolite, which is still friggin' poisonous. So, I mean, if you know the history of this, it's like mind-bogglingly stupid. Step up! It's good for headaches, good for menstrual cramps, good for pain, good for any kind of ache and joint, and by God, you could reduce a fever with it too. Okay, it sounds like snake oil because this is bullshit. Anybody know how this works? Anybody? Nobody knows the clinical pharmacology of this? Yeah, nobody does. Okay, they don't know how it works. So we don't know how it works. It's the deadliest drug in America. Its original one was taken off of the market because it was so damn poisonous, but we put it back on, so now it's the #1 selling pain reliever in America. Oh, and this is just, I typed in acetaminophen liver damage, and I got 4 million hits, and this is just a copy of the page I got today. So you're looking at National Institute of Health, MedPage, Tylenol.com. Of course, they might be a little bit more pro-Tylenol. Too much acetaminophen can damage it, WebMD, so, you know, pretty good sources. Now, alcohol is metabolized to acetaldehyde, very toxic in the system. So watch what you're drinking, okay, and know this can negatively affect you. So get a designated driver. And I'll tell you right now, every time we sail to Catalina and we go into Catalina, there's one guy who's a designated driver of the dinghy. Guess who that is? Yeah, I don't want to get drunk and do stuff that scares me. I want to be, coherent. Other guys, that's cool. I mean, we've had 2 people fall into water before when I wasn't there. And I just, so find a DD. Some guys are really happy to do it. I'm totally happy to do it. Okay, now the alcohol can negatively affect pancreas, liver, frontal lobes of the brain. Frontal lobes of the brain, let me tell you, this is bipolar disorder, impulse control, okay, schizophrenia. So understand, it's not good for you. Disrupts the microflora, B vitamins. Now, there's certain solutions for hangovers from around the world. Okay, now I'm going to show you the other hangover that I put on your sheet. I just thought that was really interesting. Okay, yeah, my oldest son Michael came up and did some research on this. I don't know if he researched the hangover first and then the remedies. No, nobody get that? Okay. But I don't know if he tried the remedies. So pickled herring in Germany, I think that's what the picture is, beer. Okay, beer only makes you drunker again. Okay, I wouldn't, a bit of the hair of the dog that bit you, by God. Okay, tea, tripe soup, bacon sandwich, sauna. I mean, some of this makes sense. Like the sauna, you're going to be sweating off the toxins. This is what you really need to do. Since you're talking about pollution or toxicity, the solution to pollution is dilution. Okay, so drink more water. Put a little sea salt in there for the electrolytes. Coconut water is going to be good. Vegetable juices. Replacing the B vitamins would be ideal. Okay, you may get a little bit of diarrhea from this, but that's okay because you're alkalinizing. Sauna, swim would be ideal. Now, you've heard of flu season. There is no such thing as flu season. This is a marketing ploy. Okay, marketing worked really good to invent Valentine's Day and to sell greeting cards. So, this is nuts. The same type of viruses are here all year long, except now we have vitamin D deficiency. And this is going to be from the sun. So you have to supplement now. Certain fish oils are loaded with vitamin D. That's what we give our autistic kids. But vitamin D deficiency, if you're in an area, like if you're in the southern hemisphere, get 20 minutes exposure a day at the highest part of the day. If you're in the northern hemisphere, you got to supplement. Okay, you just have to. Between 5 and 10,000 international units a day is appropriate. Vitamin D3 works great with K2. So look at fermented foods. That's going to be ideal. So if you get the French Gouda cheese, okay, high in vitamin K2. So here's your dinner plate. You got some soft French cheeses. The reason French cheese, because no bovine growth hormone. Okay, then they have a mold on the outside. So great, you're going to start to replace some of your healthy gut bacteria. And then you have the hummus and the endive lettuce, and that's going to be your dip. And does that sound okay to anyone? Okay, you realize this is my fast day. Okay, so I've been here from 4:45 in the morning. It's about 7:30 at night tonight, and I'm telling you about food. Not a really good thing. I think my frontal lobe with impulse control will be blown out in a little bit. Okay, another thing you can put on the plate, bell peppers. Those make great little dippers. Okay, plus they have 4 times the amount of vitamin C that a orange does. So think of this, you can make a plate, but it's better for you than the chips, and it's healthier. Digestive problems, think of any animal in the world, okay? Think of a cute little puppy. They eat something and they throw it up. Do they have poor digestion, or do they just eat something that's poisonous? Okay, it's poisonous, yeah. So what a lot of times the doctors will say, look, you're throwing up, okay, take this to stop the throwing up. No, if you're eating poisonous stuff, you got to get rid of it. So throwing up or diarrhea is a good response. But this stuff is not good for you. Okay, so the solution for digestion issues, let's say you did imbibe too much, get the vitamins in, get the electrolytes in, get the sleep patterns in, okay, and you'll be okay. You really will. Fermented foods is ideal, because this helps replace the gut bacteria. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, what do you do with anxiety and depression? Okay, they can call it seasonal affective disorder, which again, low vitamin D, high stress environments. Okay, that's going to make people appear anxiety and stress. But is depression an actual diagnosis? Yeah, they've got a book with a bunch of things. I mean, if you're obsessed about healthy food, that's a medical diagnosis. Okay, it's foodophobia or something. Okay, I mean they've got the DSM that has a huge amount of diagnoses in there. Okay, but is depression a medical condition, or is it an adaptive response to physical, chemical, and emotional stress? So a lot of people are going to say, yeah, man, because there is damage to the brain that can occur that can have certain responses to the environment. Like Linus Pauling developed orthomolecular psychiatry, where he got severe schizophrenics back functioning in society by giving them the appropriate nutrients, minerals, and vitamins. I mean, brilliant. So look at this as really important. But a lot of the drugs that you may be taking, and I'm not talking the alcohol, the beer, the scotch, the benzodiazepams, the beta blockers, steroids, contraceptives, okay, sedatives, opioids, amphetamines, antidepressants. Just had a couple of guys in today who were taking a drug to get off of the opioids that they had taken for 5 and 6 years. I mean, this is a crazy world. So if you're taking medications, find out why you're taking them. But if you're taking medications and you're going to drink alcohol, that can kill you. Okay, that is not something you mess around with. Okay, so find the reason, get off of the drugs, then have a nice glass of port. I mean, because you can't mix drugs and alcohol. Because, I mean, honestly, if you look at this list here, does anybody know if you mix 2 of these lines together? Okay, nobody does. It's a chemical nightmare. It's absolutely insane. Sugar and depression. That refined white processed stuff is literally toxic. But I mean, British Journal of Psychiatry said if they have a diet high in processed foods, you have a massive rise in depression. Why would that be? Knowing that serotonin's produced in the gut, 80% of your immune system's in the gut, but also you've got this vagus nerve that comes down. 80% of that nerve, or I think it's 90%, is afferentation. It comes into the brain. So you have this gut-brain connection, which is absolutely vital. This stuff damages the gut, so it's not good for you. MSG, phenomenal neuroexcitotoxin, which means excito means it makes you feel good, but it destroys your brain. Fantastic food additive, because I mean, you could take a sick animal that's been tortured, roll it in some genetically modified breadcrumbs, deep fry it in some toxic oil, dip it in some sauce, and your kids will say, Mom, that's the best chicken McNugget I ever had. Okay, because it's got this thing that damages their perceptions. Okay, exercise and depression. That's why I put exercise on here too. Okay, what you can do. Because if it's in time, think of this. What if you had everything all set? Okay, what if you had the turkey cooked, the duck is smoking, you've got everything all in there, it's all set, all you got to do is heat it up a little bit. So now, we've got about a half hour before everyone's going to be here, let's go for a walk. Okay, let's go for a walk in the mountains, in the woods, on the beach. Okay, walking and exercise is one of the greatest things for depression. It's better than any antidepressant because that movement's going to stimulate the brain. It's going to get both halves of the brain to work together. It oxygenates the brain. Exercise is the greatest. Then you've got the I am exercise. That's why I've got this on the back. This is literally how to rewire the brain. And this is neuro-linguistic programming, involves body posture, volume, intonation, and breathing. And you say, I am. And if you look at the word or the words in this box on this sheet, what if you were to say, I'm enthusiastic, I'm fulfilled, I'm compassionate, I'm dynamic? What if you said that over and over again? Now, you don't have to believe it. Okay, you're just putting data into that subconscious. That's the key. Now, when you look at this sheet, the bottom sheet is going to have familiar words that 100% of people with a chronic illness, injury, or stress say to themselves. And so these are states that people in a stress state have mastered. Box on the top is how you're going to reprogram the subconscious and do it when people aren't there. Go out there, start, slicing the potatoes or doing whatever you have. I am healthy, I'm dynamic. I love Uncle Harold. I am so excited for this party. I have joy in my heart. I am joy incarnate. Okay, think of that. If you just do that over and over, what's the chemicals that your brains are going to secrete? Are they going to be different? Absolutely. Your digestion is going to be different. Your perception. People are going to walk in and say, damn, I don't know what you're doing, but you look good. Well, I've been doing neuro-linguistic programming. I'm changing the chemicals my brain secretes. It's cool. These are actual tools. So when you look at this, enjoy the holidays. I mean, we keep going back to the 5 keys of health, the healthy nervous system, but can chemicals or your perception of the environment alter that nervous system response? Absolutely it can, but you can take charge of it. Exercise, you've got to do it, and you can even fit it in the time frame now. Proper nutrition, when you're buying nutrition, because we're going to do a series of talks in January on upcoming events on our planet, okay? And it's very important that you look at where the food is, where it comes from, what's in it, and how it affects our planet and our body, okay? Because we have the same thing going on. The Native Americans would talk about Mother Earth, our mom's sick, okay? And we got to look, it starts here, okay? This is the world revolution. Sufficient rest, schedule it, prepare it, develop rituals so that you can get that deep sleep state. If you're really good at prayer and meditation, let me tell you, you're going to be able to calm your whole body down, even if you're sleeping on the floor and Uncle Harold drops his leg over and it hits you in the butt. Okay. Well, I don't know. Okay. Now, all this month we're going to have webinars on exercise and movement and how this affects the brain and everything. So I encourage you to go to Extreme Health Academy. Our cruise, I think we have 1 cabin left. I'm not sure. But, if you want to go to Cuba, I think it's kind of cool. But we've got a great lineup of speakers too. And we're kind of limited because they have extra rooms on the boat, but it's a small boat and we can only hold like 80 people in the auditorium. So that's a bummer. And also this site, drjohnbergman.com, check out the articles. We've got one of this writer who is an absolute genius, okay, and an obsessive researcher. So a lot of the articles on there are phenomenal. Now, I just want to wish everyone happy holidays, okay? I mean, however you choose to worship, just enjoy each other's company because we got that same spirit in each side. How people say, namaste, I honor the light of God within you, okay? Or shalom, peace, okay? Alhamdulillah, thank you, God. God bless you. I mean, look at all the ways that people say peace and love and all this other stuff. If they really lived it, would we have a better world? Yeah, so that's what this is on the back. When you look at this, death has absolutely no symptoms except body rot, but you can't really feel that. Optimal health doesn't have any symptoms. So everything you do, and this is an analogy for the planet too, you're going to take a step towards death or towards destruction, okay, if you're choosing things that aren't life-affirming. So look at everyone that you're doing. If you want to have a connection with someone, beautiful, you take those life-affirming steps. If you have constant challenges, if you feel unheard, use that trick that the person that you're dealing with has that same feeling. Okay? God bless you all. I love you. Now, next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about, though. Happy holidays. Have fun.